Hello, everyone, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we dive into one of the most unexpected and high-stakes political twists unfolding in Eastern Europe, the growing signs that Belarusian leader Alexander Lukashenko may be distancing himself from Vladimir Putin and subtly positioning Belarus away from Moscow's total control. For years, Lukashenko has been seen as one of Putin's most loyal allies, practically an extension of Russian policy in Europe. But recent signals show an extraordinary shift, calculated defiance, cautious independence, and even hints of betrayal. And if this is true, it could change the entire strategic landscape of the Russia-Ukraine war and reshape the balance of power across Europe. For a long time, Lukashenko survived politically by playing a dangerous balancing game. He relied heavily on Kremlin economic support, secured his regime during mass protests with Russian help, and allowed Russian troops to use Belarus as a launchpad for the Ukraine invasion. But he never wanted to become a puppet forever. He fears the fate of leaders who became too dependent, like Yanukovych, men Putin helped until the moment they became liabilities. Lukashenko understands that if Russia loses the war, Belarus goes down with it. If Russia wins, he could still be replaced as Moscow's puppet for someone more obedient. Either way, his long-term survival requires leverage, and right now the winds are shifting. Multiple signs now suggest Lukashenko is subtly rebelling against full Russian control. He has refused to allow full Belarusian participation in the Ukraine war despite Kremlin pressure. He has repeatedly delayed signing deeper integration treaties that would permanently dissolve Belarusian sovereignty into a union state. He publicly mocked Wagner mercenaries after pretending to mediate between Prigozhin and Putin. And most importantly, he is now quietly rebuilding diplomatic channels with Europe, China, and even Ukraine, signaling he wants an exit strategy if Russia collapses or becomes too costly to be tied to. This is not open defiance. Lukashenko knows Putin is still dangerous. Instead, he is executing something far more strategic: controlled distance. He throws symbolic loyalty toward Moscow in public speeches. But behind the scenes, he is doing the exact opposite, blocking deeper union, preventing Belarusian troops from entering Ukraine, and quietly reopening channels that Putin desperately wanted sealed. Every move is designed to ensure he cannot be taken down with Russia if the war goes disastrously wrong. The most shocking moment came in his latest speech, where instead of glorifying Russian success, he warned of Russia's mistakes, openly admitting Moscow underestimated Ukraine's resistance and Western unity. That is a direct ideological strike against the Kremlin narrative. He even criticized Russian state media for spreading lies and fear, and then portrayed Belarus as the stabilizer of the region, language that positions Belarus as independent, not an extension of Moscow. This kind of rhetoric was unimaginable in early 2022, yet now it's public confident, almost planning for a post-Putin world. And this is exactly why panic is growing inside the Kremlin. For Putin, losing Belarus would be a strategic nightmare. Belarus is Russia's shield to the West, its military bridge into Europe, its last buffer against NATO leadership expansion. If Lukashenko flips, even partially, the entire northern front of the Ukraine war collapses. Russia loses all ability to threaten Kiev from above. NATO gains strategic advantage overnight, and Putin would look weak, abandoned, and losing control of his most loyal allies, echoing the fall of the Soviet bloc when once faithful states broke away rapidly. So, how is Putin responding? Behind the scenes, Russian pressure is intensifying. There are reports Putin wants permanent military bases inside Belarus, direct control over air defense, and integration of Belarusian nuclear command structures. That is not partnership, that is absorption. But Lukashenko is resisting. He allows just enough to keep Moscow satisfied, but refuses irreversible commitments. He keeps nuclear weapons on paper, but refuses full Russian personnel control. He claims loyalty on television while pushing independence in practice. It is silent rebellion, dangerous, brilliant, and completely aligned with his survival instinct. Now the key question: is Lukashenko planning to betray Putin before Putin betrays him? The answer is yes, if necessary. He will not act until the tipping point, but his every move shows he is preparing for that moment, securing economic deals with China, easing pressure with the European Union, quietly signaling to Ukraine that Belarus will never officially join the invasion. He is preparing a story that says, "I was forced to stand with Russia, but I never fully joined them." This is political insurance and escape route. The West is watching closely. They do not trust Lukashenko, but they understand his motivations. Geopolitics is not about trust. It is about leverage and timing. If Belarus can be pulled away from Russia's orbit, even partially, it weakens Moscow dramatically. So expect Western diplomacy to take advantage of every crack, offering subtle incentives, sanctions relief, security guarantees, anything to pull Belarus neutral before Russia reaches desperation. But let's be clear, this is not over. Lukashenko is not a democratic reformer. He is a survivor. He will betray anyone if it keeps him in power longer. Putin, the West, even his own elites. That unpredictability makes this situation incredibly volatile. If Putin senses betrayal too early, he may attempt regime change in Belarus, installing a fully obedient leader. If Lukashenko acts too slowly, Putin may drag Belarus into a losing war. If he acts too early, he may face both Moscow's backlash and Western distrust. That is why his current strategy is delay, 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 give only symbolic loyalty, block decisive moves, buy time. He knows Russia is weakening faster than expected. The front line in Ukraine is exposing Russian military fatigue. Sanctions are slowly suffocating its economy. Internal power struggles are rising, and Putin is becoming more paranoid with every month. Lukashenko senses the beginning of a power vacuum, and he wants to be ready to position himself as the last stable ruler in the region when Russia breaks. So in conclusion, what we are witnessing is not open betrayal, not yet, but pre-betrayal positioning. A political insurance strategy from a leader who knows the Kremlin may not survive this war. Belarus is no longer automatically a Russian satellite. It is becoming a free-floating piece on the chessboard, waiting to see which side will win before committing fully. And that alone is a massive strategic loss for Putin. Because in geopolitics, loyalty delayed is loyalty denied. If this shift continues, the war map may change far more dramatically than most people expect. The real question is not if but when Lukashenko will make his final move, and whether Putin will detect it before it's too late. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more deep geopolitical breakdowns.